right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have one more guest here who a lot of you probably don't know who he is, but he has been part of this sport for as long as I've been around, and he has been around. He is Rob Wilkins. At one time, he was also the assistant to the original president of the IFBB Professional League, Ben Weeder, and he's now on the President's Council of Physical Fitness. And he lives here in the DC area. I'd like to bring him up as our very special guest, Rob Wilkins.
You're my press agent.
Yes.
Oh, great.
So listen, the only person that goes back further than me and Rob is Gary. Just to give you an idea, this is how long we have known each other. We knew each other before we were married, right? Married, had kids, everything.
All had hair.
Yeah.
No great hair.
I still have hair.
We have.
So listen, I'm going to hand this over to Rob right now, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about his involvement in the sport and where he's been. And, you know, he's basically been everywhere that I've been too, but it's nice to have another perspective.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. Skylar, here you are. Jason, Tony, and the crew, thank you so much for putting this together. This is an awesome event at this fantastic facility. So thank you from all the bodybuilding fans and people who work out. Thank you very much. My involvement started in 1983 with bodybuilding in the IFBB. I was stationed in the Air Force at Air Station, West Germany, and I happened to write Ben and Joe Weeder a Christmas card. And I thought, no way would they write me back. And they happened to write me back because Ben Weeder, particularly, he had served in World War II in the Canadian military. And he said, once you come back to the U.S., why don't you work for IFBB and the Weeder family? I thought, sure, those are nice words to say, but it probably will never happen. So Ben and I kept in touch. And lo and behold, 6 years later, I left Europe, came to the U.S., and Ben offered me a position. I was the first military liaison for the IFBB. So many of you who served in the military, first of all, thank you for your service. If any other veterans here, thank you very much for your service. I started the program where the Olympia provides free tickets to the military folks. So after 9/11, Ben Weeder and Joe and Jim, they were looking for ways to inspire America. They always thought bodybuilding fitness does. So we were provided, at first it was going to be 300 tickets. Well, so many people showed up, we ended up giving out 1,500 tickets. Ben and Joe said it doesn't matter how much it costs. We just want them here to show them how much we support the USA and the armed forces. So that was great. So that program continues. To date, we've given out 12,000 free tickets. Also, if you've gone to the Olympia and you see the U.S. Color Guard, I was in the Color Guard for 7 years, so we started the Olympia with the Honor Guard. So those were some of the small things that we started. Currently, I sit on the President's Council of Physical Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition, and our job is to inform Americans, particularly our youth, the importance of physical fitness. So I'm looking here and I'm seeing you guys have brought your meals. You're prepared. Your bodies are temples. You look awesome. But 75% of Americans between 17 and 24 are not fit enough to serve our armed forces. If that does not happen, our national security becomes a risk. If we can't arm our armed forces, how can we defend our country? So I encourage all of you who are trainers and nutritionists to share your knowledge with those, particularly our youth, who are looking for guidance, because sometimes their mom and dads don't know that. Fortunately for me, my wife Amy, she was an IFBB pro figure and fitness, so our son, unfortunately, gets the tutelage of his mom, who is she cracks the whip on him. So, but again, I do encourage you to share your knowledge because you're very powerful with that information. You know, so many lessons that you learn in the gym also translate to common life, discipline, dedication. But something I really wanted to bring out was the inclusion and diversity. The IFBB started in 1946, particularly because Ben and Joe Weeder, being Jewish, were not allowed to have competitors in the AAU. So they decided to start their own thing, the IFBB, the International Federation of Bodybuilders. And when they started this, Their biggest supporters was North America, Canada, and the Caribbean. With the Caribbean, there were so many black athletes competing, but without their foundation, without that base, there would be no IFBB as of today. So you're a part of history. You're a part of an inclusionary sport. And here, what I want to show is something really important. This is the letter that started the legendary movie Pumping Iron. So in 1974, 1975, Ben Weider was speaking with the Prime Minister of South Africa. He said, if athletes of all colors and races are not allowed to compete, we will not have the competition. At the time, the biggest star was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold was in full agreement of that. So thanks to bodybuilding, thanks to the Weider family, the first attempt to break down the wall of apartheid in South Africa occurred because of bodybuilding. And that was something Ben Weider told me, besides his family, that and being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, it brought him the most pride that he can say that the wall of apartheid came down based on our sport. So again, we're part of history. So I'm not shy with the mic. So I just think thank you very much for coming. Thanks again for the sponsors and the host. Thank you to the Manion family. You guys have put so much into our sport. So on behalf of all of us here, thank you and your dad, your son, your wife, very supportive, your daughter. I remember Tyler wrestling when he was 4 or 5 years old, and now look what he's doing. So that's extraordinary. So thank you. I wish you all well, successful. I hope to see you at competitions. Be safe going home. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you very much.
Gary?
I've been involved a long time. You have no idea what it's like having Rob Wilkins here. And you talk about the real deal. We'd be there, and it was Ben Weider, Joe Weider, Jim Manion, and Rob Wilkins. And that was it. It was everything. And he was there. And everything. And J.M.'s got way more stories to tell than I do. But this has made my year. You have no idea.
Yeah, I was actually in the room, but I was over there taking their pictures.
Right, yes, you were there all the time. Yeah, we have so many things to share, again, about the beauty of our sport. Like, how do we get people who don't speak the same languages, who don't look the same, who don't practice the same religion, and we're all unified because we're brothers and sisters in iron. So that's very, very important to take forward with you.
Yeah, I mean, somebody like Rob, working with the Weeders. I mean, I've known him since I was this big, right? And I hate to say, but the older I get, I realizing now how unique my lifestyle was. Because for me, it was normal. For me, it's normal that Arnold Schwarzenegger calls the house to speak to my father. That's nothing. It's normal that The Rock calls for my dad, right? And like I say it like it's nothing. And I remember Gary, I said something one time about, I'm just this, and with DJ and stuff, and he's like, you mean The Rock? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, you talk like he's your neighbor. I'm like, to me, it's normal when you grow up in this, and everybody that I've come in contact with. And the one thing that happened with this pandemic last year is I started going back through all my photo albums, and I started realizing, how much I've seen, how much I've done, that it's all related to this. Even if it's something outside of this, it somehow relates back to this. Like going on movie sets. Well, how did we go on movie sets? Because there was probably somebody that was involved with bodybuilding there, right? We've had for years Sylvester Stallone, one of the first ones that was supportive of the IFBB. Okay, him and Arnold, of course, had the rivalry, but you look back at all the athletes now. I mean, from all different sports, right? And I'm finding pictures of myself at 10 years old with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's like no one. There's no one else I can say that I know that can say that. But to me, that's the norm. And I know when I say this to everybody else, they look at me and they all get the same look, but it's because they're just like, it's just hard to fathom. But it is a unique lifestyle. It's afforded me a really interesting lifestyle. So, and I've gotten to meet thousands of people, and it's been great. And like I said, like Rob has been, especially all the international stuff, right? And of course with Gary living in Pittsburgh, and listen, we can do a whole seminar on Gary stories, but that's a whole other thing. But no, I mean to have Rob here, and like he said, he served in the military and everything else. I remember when you took us on the Pentagon tour, private Rob Wilkins Pentagon tour. You don't get that. We get the seriously the tour. You can go and you can buy the tour, but you don't get this tour. You know, and that's just from all our years of friendship. You know, and like he had referenced about my son Tyler. I mean, Tyler wrestled right down the road for the University of Maryland for 4 years. So I've been in this as I've come to learn the DMV, the Delmarva area for years, although I never knew what that meant before. I had to be educated, right? People were like, DMV, I go, Department of Motor Vehicles, what is that? What's that got to do with down here, right? you know, but yeah, I mean, it's just, and I hadn't seen Rob for quite a while, and he showed up here last night, and so it was great to see him, and I'm glad he came back today. So thank you again, Rob.